Hello and welcome to the IsaanFlicks channel. It has been a while since our last video due to some technical difficulties, but hopefully a more normal service will now resume. With that said, today we shall continue on with a motorcycle ride about in Ubon Ratchathani Province, Thailand, in the region known as Isaan. Ubon Ratchathani Province borders Laos to the north and the east and Cambodia to the south. Ubon Ratchathani is also renowned as the first province in Thailand to see the sun each morning. So, as always, I shall ask you to sit back, relax for a few minutes and ride the motor scooter with me. And as I do not have any meaningful commentary for this ride, I thought I would use the time while you take in the views to talk a little and give you some historical facts on Thailand. However, before I start, I do have to advise you that I cannot guarantee what I shall tell you is 100% accurate, but is what I have learned through reading various historical papers and books on Thailand. Furthermore, I do hope you can take the time to ride through the whole video to see where we do end up. But the destination is not as important as the journey itself. Now, to start with, historically, Thailand has always been a Southeast Asian migratory, cultural and religious crossroads. This highlights the numerous conflicting opinions as to the origins of the Thai people. It has been suggested that the Thai people originated in northwestern Shenzhen in China about 4,500 years ago and later migrated south. The first recorded mention of the Thai people occurs in the records of the southern Chinese kingdom of Nanchao, which existed in the Yangtze River region in 700 AD. However, the discovery of prehistoric artifacts in Bang Chan in northeastern Thailand, including evidence of a bronze metallurgy in 3000 BC and rice growing culture going back to 4000 BC, suggests that these people later scattered to various parts of Asia. Another theory suggests the Thais were originally Austronesian rather than Mongoloid and migrated northwards from the Malay archipelago. Then there are the people of Indian origin who migrated to Southeast Asia around the 3rd century BC, bringing with them Buddhism and Brahmanism. But then by the 7th or later, but definitely from the 9th to the 11th century AD, an Indianized civilization called the Varvanti, an ancient Mon kingdom, existed in central and western Thailand. The Mon people established Theravada Buddhism as the dominant religion, but little else is known of them. However, by the 11th to the 12th centuries AD, Mon dominance was replaced by the Khmer Empire to the east. The Khmers were a tightly organised society with remarkable capacity for territorial and cultural expansion. From their capital in Angkor, it stretched into the northeast, central and west of Thailand. The Khmers played a significant role in the evolution of Thai art, architecture and court life. But in the 13th century, as Khmer power was waning, the first uniquely Thai kingdom was founded in northern Thailand at Sukhothai. It was brief but a brilliant era, during which the third king, Ramkhamhaeng, devised an alphabet for the Thai language, purified the local Buddhism, established diplomatic relations with China, and encouraged an artistic expression in sculpture and architecture. During the latter half of the 14th century, poor leadership and the emergence of strong Thai states further south, particularly Ayutthaya, led to the decline of Sukhothai. For over 400 years, Ayutthaya was the dominant power in the Chao Phraya Basin. During this period, Thai culture flourished and the nation's political power was greatly extended, spanning parts of present-day Cambodia, Laos, Malaysia and Myanmar, or Burma. To administer this kingdom, a tiered social system with the monarchs seen as god kings, and a complex administrative system, the precursor of the present Thai bureaucracy, was evolved. Foreigners then arrived in the 16th century, then international trade flourished, and Ayutthaya became one of Southeast Asia's richest commercial cities, comparing favourably with Paris or London. Unfortunately, Ayutthaya's relations with its neighbours were not always cordial, and in 1767, after a 15-month siege, the Burmese captured Ayutthaya, sacking and burning the city, and destroying most of its artistic treasures and official archives. Yet, within a few years of this shattering defeat, a half-Chinese general named Thaksin had not only defeated all his rivals, but also the Burmese invaders. Thaksin then became king and established his capital in Thonburi, strategically situated near the mouth of the Chao Phraya River. However, the strain of fighting the invaders and building a new state took its toll on the king. Then, following an internal political conflict in 1782, a fellow general, Warin Chamrap, was chosen king. This new king was then called Rama I, or Rama I, and established Bangkok as the capital and founded the Chhatri dynasty, which still continues today. It has often been said that Kings Rama IV and Rama V, through clever diplomacy and westernizing policies, were able to avoid the colonial fate of Thailand's neighbours. King Rama V went on to abolish slavery and forced or unpaid labour, introduced postal and telegraph services, built railways, schools, and reorganised and modernised government ministries. However, the absolute monarchy continued until 1932, when the global economic depression and the return of Western educated Thais led to demands for a reform. King Rama VII had written a new constitution, but before he could persuade his conservative relatives to accept it, a bloodless revolution took place, establishing a constitutional monarchy on the 10th of December 1932. Two years later, King Rama VII abdicated and the throne passed to his nephew, who was then the young King Rama VIII, who continued his studies in Switzerland. During the Second World War, the Thai government aligned itself with the Axis powers, albeit Germany, Italy, and the Empire of Japan. But there was a very strong Free Thai movement, which was of great help to the Allies. Consequently, Thailand was spared having to make severe wartime repatriations. King Rama VIII returned to Thailand after the Second World War, reigning until 1946. He was succeeded by his brother, King Bhumibol, Rama IX, who, along with Queen Suriket, were very active in promoting numerous national development, agricultural and social welfare projects, and were well respected, deeply loved by the entire population, and thus were seen as a strong unifying force. And today, their son, now King Rama X, is the Thai monarch. The Thai people are traditionally noted for their politeness, tolerance, and peaceful way of life, and their love of freedom. Although Thailand has suffered periodic invasions and was occupied by Japan in the Second World War, the strong desire for freedom has not been dampened. Then all the bloodless coups and the absence of civil wars are clear evidence of the strong desire for a peaceful way of life. Thai society is one of relationships, not one of law. To understand Thai culture, you need to have knowledge of the Buddhist philosophy. The Thais also have a genius for absorbing outside influence differences while retaining their own identity. As an example, from about 1850 until just after the Second World War, there was a steady flow of immigrants from China who established themselves in commerce throughout the country. However, the Thai government has successfully encouraged the assimilation of the Chinese immigrants, with the result that the second and third generation Chinese regard themselves first and foremost as Thai. I think that is enough of my Thai history for this video, and if you did enjoy it, please give the video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, but better still, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. So, back to the rideabout. If you have any questions on this video, please leave me a comment and I shall endeavour to get back to you. Let's just ride out the video and see where we do end up. It's now a really warm morning and I shall regret wearing short pants, as I can see my knees are turning red. Sunburnt again. I never learn. So, what do you think of rural Isaan? It's a real Thailand in my opinion. Isaan is not for everyone, as is living on the beach. I prefer Isaan to living in Bangkok, Pattaya or Phuket, as I am at this time of my life where I can do without the crowds of people everywhere I go. Some might say I have become antisocial, but I am happy with what I have and no one bothers me. I'm in my own little world. No traffic jams out here, and in Ubon City or Warin Chamrap you will find all you would ever need to live happily, just like in Bangkok, but different. Oops, mind the dog. Does anyone recognise where we are? If you do so, leave me a comment. If you're still in this video, hit that like button now. Notice the joys of rural roads, lovely potholes. Still keeps your speed down if you're sensible. I shall start to wrap this video up. We are approaching our destination. That is the Moon River in front of us. We have reached our destination. So, until my next video, it's a very goodbye from me. But don't forget, give this video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Bye bye.